Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and in today's video, we're going to talk about Power Automate Flow to send reminders for pending approvals. Now, you all know how to use the approvals, and in case you don't, I've put the link below in my video which walks you through that. Now, once the approval is kicked off, we need a way to tell all those managers that, hey, there is an approval that is pending for you. Can you go take a look at that? And in a nutshell, the way you handle that is by creating a separate flow. And I'm going to walk you through that in this video. So stick around. This is fun and important. But first, here's my intro video. So let's get started. Now, before we jump into actually looking at the flow and the approval flows, I want to show you the list that I'm using for this scenario. Now, this is a Microsoft list, but I'm also using the Microsoft Lists app over here, which is pretty awesome. And if you're not aware of this, there's actually a template already available for travel requests, and I'll go and show you. I go out of the actual list. This is where you see all your lists anyway. But if you want to use that travel request app, you come to the plus new lists, and that's one, the travel requests. And that's how you go and select it. You go and save it into either a site or your My Sites. This is where you can pick and choose. So that's how I went and created my travel requests. Now, in my travel request, when I go and submit it, that's when the whole approval process starts. And as you can see, I've already submitted some, there's other people in my company who submitted it. What I'll do is I'll go and submit another one. We'll see how that process kicks in. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to quickly go and submit that request. All right, so I went and populated all of these fields. Basically, I'm filling in for the EduCon conference, which I'll be speaking in about 2 weeks now. Filled all this information over here. And now I'm just going to go ahead and click on Save. The moment I go and click on Save, a new entry comes in. That will trigger the flow, and it goes and starts the approval process. So let's go and take a look at that flow now. So as I go and click on it, you will see that there is one right now which is running. That's the one. See, 6 seconds ago, that's the one that I just submitted. So if I go and click on it, you will actually see that right in this process, there is the approval going on. So just in a nutshell, a new list has been entered, a new item has been entered. I go and get the user who submitted the request. I go and grab that person's profile. Based on that person's profile, I go and grab the manager, and then the manager has been gone and sent the approval. This is not new, right? In fact, that's the one I said. I've got a detailed video on this topic. But usually this is where the delay happens because, the approval is sent and now the manager may see it, the manager may not see it, or my manager might have seen this in passing, forgot about it. We need some way to go ahead and send this manager a reminder. Now, I will tell you this, one way to kind of avoid even sending out these reminders is to go ahead and set up the approval in Microsoft Teams. And then I'll show you that. So here is me accessing as my manager. Rosanna is my manager. And I go into her as if she's in Microsoft Teams. She will get a notification over here on activity. And when you click on activity, these are all the pending requests for her. And as you can see, I just clicked on it. And right over here, this is the one that I just submitted. So this is one way of doing it also. In Teams, go ahead and get your approval app. And the approval apps, you'll see all of them over here. But again, in that scenario where Rosanna, my manager, has completely forgotten or ignored my approvals, we need a way to send her that reminder. And for that, I'm going to go and show you how to build the second flow, which just sends daily reminder. And we've got to make this a little smart because it needs to know that, hey, there are some pending ones that are waiting. And then secondly, it should go and scan all of them. So let's go take a look at that flow. So I'm going to come back to my Power Automate over here. And as you can see, the one which has the timer icon or the reminder icon, that is the flow that I've created. So when I go and click on the edit section over here, the pencil button, this is what shows you the flow. So it's based on a recurrence. The reoccurrence basically means how often do you want this reoccurrence to be sent, basically all the reminder emails. So I went and set that as once a day, but which you've got a few options. Over here, the frequency, you've got it as week, month, day, hour, even down to the second. Play carefully on selecting the frequency time because you're going to go ahead and consume your flows and all that jazz happens over here. So just be mindful. Therefore, in my scenario, I'm just sending these out once a day. Next is a very important thing is that you want to go ahead and get only those filtered items where the approval is still pending. Well, how do you find that out? Well, let's go take a look at that SharePoint list. So in my SharePoint list, thanks to this template, out of the box, if I scroll to the right, there is an approved column. And the moment you went ahead and submitted the request, the default entry is no, because I haven't received my approval yet. And that's what I've been leveraging for my secondary reminder flow. So as we go take a look at the flow again, right in my get items, this is basically what it is. I'm going and first getting, using this get items step, I go ahead and get all the lists from SharePoint, but I'm filtering it. And that filtering it is when you go into the show advanced options, I over there use the filter query and I select the approved equals no. I want you to be very careful of this approved equals no, because you want to make sure that you get the correct column name. And in my Microsoft lists over there, I see it as approved. But if you want to be double sure, you want to actually go and take a look at that SharePoint list. So let's just do that first, just to be sure. All right, so I'll go and click on my SharePoint site. I actually know what site that is. In my site, I even know what that list is. In fact, if I scroll all the way down, there's a travel request. This is the same travel request that we see in Microsoft List, the actual SharePoint site. But what I want to do is this approved. I want to go and verify what that column name is. So I click on settings, I click on list settings, then I go ahead and hunt for that approved column, this approved column, click on it. And then on the top right in the URL, this is where you see the actual column name, the column name which you will use for that OData query to filter only those items that are still in progress. You got to go and grab this, literally go ahead, highlight it, do a Control C, and now you've got that column name. Then you quickly switch over to that Power Automate, and in this filter query, you come over here and you paste it. You want to actually go and paste it. Then you put the space, you type in EQ for equals, space, comma, and then what are your options? So in my case, the two options was no and yes, so I put in no. This is how you go ahead and filter. And it's very important because gone are the days where you go ahead and get all, get all the SharePoint items and then you go ahead and do a condition. No, those will go and pull everything from SharePoint. And then the condition that you'll add, like this condition, when you go and add that action and then you go ahead and add this condition, that's not the way to go and say that, oh, if it is yes, then go to, do the positive or negative. No, you don't want to do that anymore. You want to basically go and do it get items, because the get items with the OData query does what we call as a server-side filter. So it only gets the items which are still in progress. Get it? It's very important that you understand that. So anyway, after the get items is done, now we go ahead and do the same process as we did in the original flow. Get the user, go ahead and get the manager, and we're sending the manager an email address. And just so that you can see this, there's an action over here, a step to call as get user profile. There's a version 2. And to get the user profile, whoever was the person who created the email, go ahead and grab their email address. I'm sorry, whoever was the person who go ahead and submitted the request, go ahead and get that person's email address. Then you also do a get manager, because this person over here, now that you've gone and put the email address, you get what's called their user principal name, UPN. If I hover on that, you will actually see that user principal name. So here, when you click on it, you want to go and see the get user profile. As you scroll down a little bit in that get users profile, this is the one, user principal name. What you see over here, that's what it is, user principal name. And that will help you get that user's manager. So that's how I get the manager's information. And then this mail over here, that mail, as you can see, is sending the email to the manager. And then I go and put in some text in the subject. I go and put in some body over here. But here's another important thing I want you to know is that let's make it a little easy for the manager to actually go ahead and now click a link on that email and go ahead and approve it. Because you could have put in some notes over here telling the manager, hey, you've already received that email, go find that. But we want to make it a little bit easier. And to do that, you actually go ahead and get the link of where all these approvals are pending. And that's a good trick I want to show you. So let's actually just pretend that we're logging in as a manager. So here it is, me as a manager. My manager's name is Rosanna. If you go to the Power Automate, you need to first make sure that the approvals is in the same environment where that flow was created. So in our case, just to go and verify, our flow was created in this environment, which is called as this environment name. In my case, it is Christian Family -prod. This is where my environment and this flow was created. So when I go back to my user, I go ahead and make sure that I grab that environment name over here, okay? In fact, this doesn't have to be for the user. I can just go and grab that and me, because I'm the maker of the flow. You gotta make sure that you go ahead and grab that environment name. Basically, grab this URL all the way from approvals and the received. This is what you do. You're going to come here, you click on it, do a Control C, and that's the one that we go ahead and put it over here. So now, as you can see in this text, you can either go ahead and find that email that was sent to you and click the approval button over here, or you can go ahead and just click on this link and find this approval which is present there. So this link is basically, if I go and select that, click on it, it'll actually take you directly. If you click on it, it actually takes you to that approval place. It's a good way to go ahead and test it, all right? But just to make sure that that highlighted link is coming from that approval space that we just showed you. That is a very important thing because that will go ahead and actually make it a little bit easier for the users. All right, so let's actually see a test that is running right now, okay? So I'm going to actually go ahead and get out of this thing over here. What we'll do is, as you can see, there aren't any running over here. In fact, there was a few failed ones, but I fixed that problem. But there's any running over here. So we'll just actually go ahead and do a test run. So in the test run, I'll go and run the flow. What it will do is it's going to now scan through that SharePoint list, and it will find one. It'll actually only find one. You probably heard that. That ding came to the user. So I'm actually going to go now to pretend like I am the user. So I'll go to Rosanna over here. Rosanna got an email. See, that email came in and it says, hey, a friendly reminder of the travel request submitted by Daniel Christian. And click on that and it says, hey, a friendly reminder of the travel request submitted by Daniel Christian. And it says, hi, Rosanna, everything was good. And if I want to go ahead and now click on the link, if I click on it, it directly takes me to the Power Automate flow and it directly shows me these are the pending items that were received over here. It says, it's on the approvals, same environment. Click on the approvals. There it is. That's the approval that is pending over here. We got the direct link. And now when I go and click on it, I can actually see the approval over there, which was sent to me. And I can go ahead and select that option. This all helps. This all comes in that email. See, right there, it came that email. But if Rosanna or your manager is very good on staying on Teams, then you will always have this option over here. This is the important one where you can send those reminders and it will only go and send reminders to those items that are still pending. So let's go and finish this test, all right? So I'll go ahead and now say, have fun and learn a ton. And I'll go and click on approval. The approval goes through and it will go and submit it. Go and submit it. If you came back just as a curiosity, see it went and disappeared from the Power Automate one over there. If I go back to my list, in my list, if I just go ahead and actually do a quick refresh, in my refresh, you will be able to see as I scroll to the right that this has become a yes. So all the items, in fact, as you can see, I got an email notification saying that, hey, your approval was also completed. That's just the test that we did. The test is complete. Now, there's one final thing I want to show you is what happens to those daily reminder flows when we don't have any approved items pending. So in this case, I went and made sure that I don't have any pending approval items. You see, they're all approved, but we'll also go ahead and run that daily reminder flow and see what happens, all right? So I've going over here to my flows. I go to my Power Automate flows. I click on the send reminders over here, and I'll just go ahead and now do a run, all right? We'll just trigger it ourselves, and I'll click on the run flow, and it's running over here. In fact, now I click on it, it will already be done because there is nothing pending. Now the get items, that doesn't help me too much. It's the apply to each. When I click on the apply to each, it's all blank over here. What that tells me is that when the get items was done on the action above, it wasn't able to get any lists where the item was still pending as in progress. And I'll show you that just as an example. If we go to one of the earlier ones, and if I go back to this apply to each, you see that it pulls some because in the get items, it was able to do that. So it's very, very important that you actually go and use this get items and you do that filter. You go and do that filter so it pulls that information. And also this recurrence switches over here. Do it about once a day. You don't want to run it too many times a day because that can kind of affect your flow and your Power Automate over there. Once a day actually works really well. So as a quick recap, that list has an approved column and that column has a yes and a no. And the ones we are focusing on all those values which are no. Second, we went and created another Power Automate flow. And in that Power Automate flow, it is triggered based on a schedule, but then it also does a get items. And in that get items, we do a server-side filter, which is the OData query for all the approved equals no. And then once we get that, we are able to go ahead and send the email notifications to the managers, and then the flow ends. The second flow doesn't have to go ahead and wait for any other things. That's the important thing over there. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. And as always, keep using Power Automate. Hey everyone, hopefully you found this video useful. And if you did, can you help me help you? Can you subscribe to this YouTube channel? Because remember, I provide fresh content on a weekly basis and it's 100% free. So if you have subscribed, thank you so much and pass the word. But if you haven't, subscribe, click on the bell notification and let the learning begin.